Uh-oh. Hey, Yuki. Did I start the right one? Uh-oh. Hold on. I think I accidentally clicked an older save. Alright, let me go back. Yeah. My controller I was using, I guess the button got pushed and it loaded up a save. Yeah, we've already seen all this. Come on, let me skip. Alright, there we go. Let's go back. So we were here. Actually, no. We were on chapter 1 because we beat chapter 0. So, new chapter. Here we go. Chapter 1. Returning. There we go. Chocolate bars. Hey. Nice. Alright, so... You know, I'm thinking... Maybe we should try and get all the endings. Like, bad ones and good ones. For this game. We'll see. To make sure that we see everything. A day had passed since the events at Shimorinjaku South Apartments. This was to be a significant turning point for me, and Machida might have been a part of it from the start. Except that fate seemed to have other plans for him.
クオン先生、俺、今日は大事な用があって。
ダメ。サトシ君、昨日の大気の小テスト、ちょっと残念な点数だったでしょ?
Like an owner training a puppy, Kyuan gave him a strong glance, held up her index finger in reprimand.
今から1時間、私の授業に集中しなさい。そうしたら、次の小テストも解けるようになるから。
先生って英語科でしょ？大気なんて専門外じゃ。
一生懸命教えるからできるよ。
He's like, you're not my math teacher. She seemed a little taken aback by that remark, puffing up her cheeks like a chipmunk in protest.
いや、先生。クオン先生って、ユイ先生そっくりだな。ごめんなさい。
Looking both bemused and guilty, Mochida tried to get up and leave his seat in one swift motion, but he was quickly and easily caught, lifted up, and forcibly sat back down.
ダメ。
Oh, is she super strong or something? Hey, good morning, Casey.
なんだこの先生。
This Kyuan was only the slightest bit taller than Mochida. This did make her taller than the average, but her arms were small and frail. There seemed to be no way she could possibly have lifted someone of his build. The whole situation was rather bewildering for him. He made no attempt to hide his confusion.
さあ、始めるよ。
Hey, Rhyme. Puffing up cheeks like chipmunks, yeah?
はい。
He had no other option. Apparently, he was going to be studying algebra for the next hour. Oh, that sounds painful. Come hell or high water. Meanwhile, at a local cafe near the school, Kishinuma and I were sitting down to speak to Aiko Niwa, the informant who led my friends to me the previous night. So this is Ayumi. It's perspective.
うん。大丈夫？お腹でも痛いの？
I responded with a dismissive gesture while continuing to rub my abdomen with my other hand. Ever since the previous night, I had this constant, unbearable urge to pee. What?
なんだろう。昨日怖い思いして過呼吸が続いたから。
Did she not use the restroom or
お
something?
かしいのかな。ずっと膀胱が膨らんでる気がする。何から話そうかしら。
Aiko tilted her head and stared at me, looking me up and down, seemingly judging my every mannerism, my every movement. He just handed her some tissue paper. Yeah. It was making me feel really self-conscious. I covered my abdomen with both hands as if guarding it from her gaze.
昨日はありがとうございました。いいえ、大したことはしていないわ。如月学園って案外広いのね。岸沼くんたちを探すのに少し手間取ってしまったわ。
Kishinuma and I stared at one another, still unsure how to feel about this strange new addition to our entourage. Yeah.
あゆみちゃん、岸沼くん。あなたたちって天神小学校の生還者よね。
I wonder, it's definitely because of the apartment. We pledged to never discuss Heavenly Host with anyone else, which we'd always assumed would be an easy promise to keep. But now, casually, out of the blue, here we were.
なんであんたそのことを
So they never told anyone about it, but she knows somehow.
あなたたち死後の世界に接してきたでしょう。通常人間には身につかないオーラの色をしているわ。私には見えるの。
Both Kishinuma and I were speechless. I just sat there staring at my palm, subconsciously, trying to see my aura. I guess Aiko was smiling at us triumphantly.
愛子さんは 霊能関係の情報屋でナホさんのお友達なんですよね。ええ、ナホちゃんに天神小学校の情報を提供したのは私。
Interesting. She's the one who told Naho about Heavenly Host. The true source of the deaths and subsequent erasures that had turned our lives into a living nightmare was the Sachiko Ever After ritual posted by Naho's occult blog. I'd been a fan of Naho for some time, so when I saw that, I knew I had to try it out with my friends from class 2-9, and as a result, half of those friends were now gone.
ナホちゃんがキビキ先生のために霊能探偵をやっていたことは知っているわよね。
Oh, for Mekti? Nice. Yeah, I haven't tried yet. Definitely gonna do it later on today.
はい。幸せの幸子さんの情報が掲載されてから失踪されたことも。私はね、心霊スポットや霊能関係の情報を集めて、それを欲しがる人に有償で提供してきた。報酬はお金、もしくは私の興味をそそる霊具の類。相手によってふっかけ方も変えるけれど。
She does, yeah. Igarashi is so good.
まあ、ギブアンドテイクよね。向こうは情報が欲しい。私はお金と霊具が欲しい。
Physically, Aiko was a very attractive young lady, but personality-wise, the jury was still out on that. Her words were calculated and emotionless, her true intentions a mystery.
だから私は情報屋をやっているの。ナホちゃんもいいお客さんだったわ。あの子が最後に買ったのが天神小学校の情報。ナホちゃん、これでキビキ先生の小説がなんとか賞を取れるってすごくはしゃいでた。ねえ、教えてくれる？あなたたちの閉じ込められたあの異空間にナホちゃんはいた？
She wants to know about it.
ナホさんはキビキ先生と一緒に亡くなっていました。
I looked down as I answered. Despite everything she'd done, the memory of Naho's passing was still painful to me. She'd become one of Heavenly Host's lost souls and gone completely berserk in the end. I was the one who finished her off.
そう、やっぱりね。
Aiko seemed completely unaffected by this revelation. Her tone remained even, and her expression cold and distant. So Naho went to Aiko, looking for some kind of information so she could impress Kabiki. And Aiko told her about Heavenly Host. Honestly, I had about enough of her at this point. She was so devoid of empathy, it was almost offensive. I was genuinely starting to get pissed off.
平気なんですか？残念だと思うわ。でも予想はついていたからわざわざ取り乱す必要もないでしょ。
Kishinuma continued to stare intently at Aiko with his own brand of cold, emotionless eyes. He was oddly quiet though. His anger was palpable. I clenched my fist.
じゃ、この子はおまじないを一緒に行ったと思うんだけど、あっちにはいたかしら。
Ah, It's Sayaka. Aiko showed us a picture of a girl named Sayaka.
いえ、会ってないからわかりません。そう。
Aiko's expression was so unfaltering. You could carve it in stone. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to say something.
ナホさんのことお客さんだなんて、そんなの友達って言わないと思います。
My voice was breaking with rage. But even if that hadn't been the case, my face must have been read like a book. This icy bitch may have had only one expression, but I sure didn't.
あら、あなたは客って言葉に対して随分と偏見を持っているのね。取引を行う以上、私はそこに最大の誠意とクオリティを提供する。つまりそれがパートナーとしての信用で、フレンドシップにも負けないものだと思っているけれど。そんなこと。
I had no idea what to say. It seemed like Aiku was used to this sort of thing. Her response felt very carefully rehearsed, like a sales pitch. Finally, Kishinuma broke his silence.
あんたよ、昨日篠崎を助けてくれたことは感謝するけどよ、金やなんかの見返りのためにそんなろくでもない情報を拡散させるなんて旗迷惑だと思わねえのか。
So he's mad that she told anyone about the school, period. For money.
情報は情報よ。それ自体に罪はないわ。道具と同じ。それをどう使うかは使い手の問題でしょ。その気になれば、その辺にあるコップでも人は殺せてしまうのよ。
She's like an arms dealer. You know, she's like, hey, I just provide the weapons. You know, I provide the tools. I'm not the one shooting people. You know, that's literally the logic she just gave.
なもん詭弁じゃねえかよ。
あなたもそう思う？あゆみちゃん。愛子さん、ごめんなさい。私はあなたの考え方嫌いです。無責任だと思います。
Her expression remained calm and collected, but her eyes blinked several times in rapid succession. It was the first outward sign of emotion we'd seen from her.
やれやれ、ひどい嫌われようね。慣れてるけど悲しいわ。
Echo quickly shrugged off her sudden outburst and was back to her usual icy self.
まあ、天神症は俺らがぶっ壊してきたからいいけどよ。
An awkward tension filled the room, or at least our side did.
じゃ、本題に入りましょうか。私があなたたちに近づいた理由、伝えたいことについて。
I wonder if she wants the book too. Aiko produced a thick, hardbound filed folder from the light blue bag she brought with her. She opened it to reveal several documents of questionable nature. Among them were what looked like a family tree. as well as numerous pages featuring black magic symbol or images that look like tree branches. So a family tree.
黒魔術の文字対応表。篠崎家の家系図。
Black magic spell charts. Shinozaki family tree.
少しショッキングなことを伝えるわね。
If she's gonna tell us that we're related to the Shinozakis, well, she knows this already. Yeah, her VA is good.
さっき岸沼くんが言ったことだけれど、間違いよ。
あ？何がだよ。
天神小学校は壊れてなどいない。今もまだ存在し続けているのよ。
Heavenly Host has not been destroyed. It still exists. This is a shock to them because at the end of the very first game, it was like it was collapsing, remember? And we had to escape through that maze. So they think it was destroyed.
これを見て。
That's Yuki. Eiko placed a black and white photo on the table. It wasn't the clearest of pictures, but there was no doubt that the location depicted was Heavenly Host Elementary. How did she get a picture out of that place? What the fuck? Picture a small girl could be standing in one of those all too familiar hallways, holding a hatchet in her right hand. Oh no, it's Rina.
天神小学校。
なんだよこれ。
やっぱりこれは私が念写したものよ。力が足りなくて少し不鮮明ではあるけれど、今現在のあの空間、天神小学校。
That's how she took the picture. It's the autograph. That's a cool power. I didn't have the power to produce a clearer image. Interesting. But this is the current state within Heavenly Host. So Yuki's walking around with a hatchet.
一体どういうことなんですか？
I can't even describe what was going through my head at the moment. I felt like I was about to burst. Aiko, however, remained calm as ever while recounting her story.
順を追って説明するわね。まず昨日の例の赤い箱だけれど、開けるとこのレーグが出てきたの。
The box I'd found on Makina's futon. Inside it were apparently two stones resembling Magatama, comma-shaped ceremonial objects from Japanese antiquity. Also included in the box were several more roughly hewn stones, as well as a lining along the edges consisting of crumbled pieces of thin white paper.
残念ながら箱の中でほとんど割れていたけれど、この一組は無事だったわ。
That's it. That's the stone. They looked almost like a demented version of yin and yang symbols. Puzzle pieces that were clearly built to be slotted together. That's it. That was in the box. Aiko now held one of the stones in each hand and was motioning them toward one another as if to drive that point home.
レーグというのはね、 簡単に言えば死者の思いが込められたもののことで、物に閉じ込められた霊、またはその生前の記憶が持つ者に永遠と泣き言を語りかけてくる愉快なものよ。私はこう見えて無類の霊具コレクターでもあるの。
Kishinuma and I briefly locked eyes again. We shared the same look of bewilderment. Aiko's personality was much more twisted than either of us had initially perceived it to be.
この子の意志を読もうとするとね、呪わしい声と一緒におさげの少女や廃校の風景が見えてきたのよ。で、気になったからこのカメラに。
At this time, she produced an old instant camera and placed it on the table in front of us.
私の念を写してみたの。それがその写真。私がこの霊具を使ってその時の今現在を念写したものよ。過去や未来の時間を超えた念写は私にはできないから。
I examined the photograph in greater detail, and a chill ran down my spine. There was absolutely no denying what it depicted. So the school is still standing.
篠崎幸子を失ったあの学校は私たちが逆落ちで脱出した際に崩壊したはず。
Yeah.
でも寸前のところでとどまったってところかしら。私に語りかけてくる声の主がまだいるのかもね。
Aiko motioned toward the photo in my hand.
例えば写真の女の子とか。誰かしらね、この子。
She's saying so Yuki might have stopped the collapse at the last second. The answer was beginning to dawn on me. A sudden cold sensation exploded through my body and I shuddered, as if trying to shake off the encroaching realization.
くそ、あの地獄みたいな場所がまだ存在してるってのかよ。
Kishinuma leaned forward. The conversation was clearly beginning to engage him a lot more than it had been.
その天神小学校、いえ、学校の形をしたあの異空間だけれど、ナホちゃんに紹介した手前、私も気になって調べていたの。あの異空間の正体はね、涅槃という死後の世界に近い磁場なのよ。
Something like a new nirvana, a netherworld or a hereafter.
普通はこの世とは別の次元に存在するものなのだけれど。
That's kind of what the Book of Shadows said it was. Like the spell was something what Land of Corpses or something.
涅槃？
ええ、篠崎義恵については知っているわよね。
はい。
篠崎の家、義恵の診療所に黒の本と呼ばれる魔導書、ブック・オブ・シャドウズがあったことも。
Yep.
はい。
Yeah, Yuki's maintaining it. She has to be. Why? What could she know about that? A million thoughts, a million questions were running through my head. I was speechless. All I could do was sit there and hear her out. Oh. It was like a muffled scream or a moan of agony. The sound you make when you want to make a sound, but are barely able to. Seiji. Who is Seiji? That one was a little more forceful, accompanied by thrashing, caused a nearby table light to fall over and roll along the ground.
あなた落ち着いて
Her husband's, okay. This was Yoshie Shinozaki. Her clinic. And Yoshie herself was on top of her husband, holding him down with both of her hands. She continued her Shinto purification chant. Oh. Is she trying to save him? To prevent Seiji from biting off his own tongue, he had been gagged with a towel. Needless to say, he wasn't looking particularly well. Not far from where this was occurring, Sachiko stood aghast, trembling as she watched the proceedings with hesitant, sidelong glances. It's a Nagi no Okami. Oh, she mean business now. Persona. Seiji, still collapsed on the floor, was clearly suffering. His body was bent into a most unnatural shape, and he was fervently clawing at his neck. She's trying to prevent him from dying. Sachiko's father screamed through his gag, foam beginning to froth out from its edges. Oh no. Ghostly images of Shinozaki women from ages past smiled down upon the event from the ceiling, laughing and mocking his suffering. So the past Shinozaki women appeared and were mocking him, his dying. Worse still, some of the women had traditionally blackened teeth, giving their smiles an unintentionally sinister edge. The atmosphere within the room was heavy, as if spirits occupied every empty corner, dancing and flitting about freely and joyously. Seiji's body sharply bent and began convulsing.
荒れませる払い戸の狼たち。あなたしっかり。ああ。御親の御霊様、お願いです。連れて行かないでください。
Her great-grandmother, Seira, the head of the Shinozaki family, was among the black-teethed women, laughing joyously at Seiji's suffering.
お父さん、お父さん。
His voice began to weaken, and his convulsions began to lose strength. Finally, the last spark of life had left his body. His eyes rolled to the back of his head and all movement ceased.
お父さん息してないよ。
Sachiko looked up, eyes glazed over with tears. Yoshie too was stricken with grief and despair.
霊能力者の血筋篠崎の者と結婚した夫は必ず早々の死を遂げる。呪われた家の運命に抗えなかったヨシエは
This is what it means to be a Shinozaki, the cursed bloodline. All men who marry in are guaranteed to die. Jeez. Even Yoshie couldn't stop it.
心ない者たちから守るよう篠崎の家に託されていた禁忌の本に手をつける。
She turned to the forbidden book.
それが黒の本ブック・オブ・シャドウズ。
She did use it to try and probably save him.
愛する者を失うそのことを恐れるあまり黒魔術に頼ったの。まさに荒唐無稽でバカな話よね。
See, that's what I don't know. Like, maybe, right? Is it triggered by marriage? Is it triggered by, or is it triggered by like them having a child? Because they did mention whenever they have a kid, the father dies after. So I'm thinking maybe whoever the father is of the child, that's probably the trigger for it.
ヨシエ自身もすがれるものなら何でもいい程度にしか思っていなかったと思うわ。
Because all the men have only died after the girl gave birth to a female, like a daughter. And that's who inherits the powers too. Mother, daughter. They inherit the spiritual powers.
ところがまさか信じられないことが起こる。
So I'm guessing they could be together, but they just never could have like a kid or something, if that's the case. But then what happened next was almost beyond belief. All right, you're done here.
ヨシエの体に流れる篠崎の血筋その強い霊力に想像もつかない何かが呼応してしまった。それは
I instantly knew what she was gonna say.
ヨシエの術で本の中から呼び覚まされた何か。それは涅槃。
There we go. From the book, she created a new nirvana. Yoshie created. Yep.
未来永劫死者と共にいられる場所死後の世界を切り取った空間がこの世に生まれてしまったの。
There one could coexist with the dead for all eternity. It was a new dimension, cut from the netherworld itself.
ヨシエはもう半分正気を失っていたのね。一人娘の幸子を現世に残して自分は夫の魂と共に生涯をそこで添い遂げようとした。
That's what she wanted. She wanted to create a world where her husband existed and go there. She tried to leave her only child Sachiko in the real world while living with her husband's soul in the new Nirvana. So Yoshie created it. For her husband. Yeah. That's what Heavenly Host is, actually.
Land of Corpse.
The land of corpses. But something happened to make it, because we know Yoshie was killed and Sachiko was killed. Something messed up. Something happened.
ところが
See,
涅
however,
槃には意志があり、ヨシエの手でコントロールできるものではなかったの。
this Nirvana had a mind of its own. Yoshiko couldn't possibly control it. I knew that all too well, just like Yoshie. I had experienced my own tragic failure with the black magic at the Shinozaki clinic.
黒魔術には障害反動がある。夫の魂はバラバラに飛散し、ヨシエの命も消えかけた。自分の愚かな行為を悔やみながら呼吸を止めようとしたその時、底なしに霊能力の強い一人娘幸子が涅槃を丸ごと体の中に飲み込んだの。
Her soul daughter Sachiko absorbed the entirety of this new Nirvana into her body.
幸子が
The poor girl collapsed on the floor, violently thrashing, as the weight of an entire dimension crushed her from the inside. This action had saved her mother's life. Certainly, but death would have surely been preferable. Picking herself up, Yoshie rushed to her daughter's side in tears.
幸子、さっちゃん、あなたお母さん死なないで、お母さん。
So her mom was about to die from this spell from trying to create the new Nirvana, and Sachiko stepped in and took that whole Nirvana into herself to save her mom. That's what happened. The spell, it backfired on Yoshie, just like it did on Ayumi. Yeah. The price was about to kill her. Both parent and child were bawling, pain mixing with... Oh man, so if that's inside Sachiko when she was killed in the school, she was killed in Heavenly Host, all hell broke loose. That would explain why it looks like a school. Yeah, that's how powerful she was. That's how much power Sachiko had. She absorbed all of it. By this point, Sachiko's body had begun producing a dark blue aura.
ごめんね、さっちゃん。ごめんね。お母さん間違ってた。お母さんにはあなたがいるわ。もうあなたを置いていこうだなんて思わないから。
あなたも知っての通り、幸子も篠崎家当主直系の血を引くサラブレッド。義恵を超えるほどの霊能力を持っていたのね。涅槃を丸ごと体内に封じ込めるなんてものすごいことよ。
An entire dimension in her body. That's insane. And she's only 7. Imagine if she were to grow up, like, harness that power. Eiko took a big, noisy sip from her coffee mug.
当時ほとんど最強の霊能者だったんじゃないかしら。まだほんの小さな子供だったけれど。
She's like Gohan, never realized her full potential.
でもその幸子が死んでしまって。
Yeah, she would be a threat.
そう、保健医義恵の転落事故と同時に幸子が行方不明になった50年前のあの事件。あれは校長による殺人事件でした。
They were both killed by the principal. That's so stupid, man. That principal.
やはりそうなのね。校長が余計なことをしでかしたおかげで幸子の中に吸い込まれて封印されていた涅槃が復活し、あの異空間天神小学校が生まれてしまったのよ。
It's probably because the school was the site of Sachiko's violent demise that her nirvana took its form.
ま、とはいえ復活した涅槃も資料として蘇った幸子の力で再び抑制されて、やっぱりその支配下に置かれていたようだけれど。幸子がいろんな力を使えたのもその涅槃の影響だったのかしら。
This was all starting to make a sick sort of sense. The pieces were falling into place and painting an absolutely awful picture. I shuddered to myself as I considered it.
現在はあなたたちが脱出の際に幸子を取り除いてしまったから、涅槃は再び暴走状態になっているのよ。
Yeah, when she died, it came out. The dimension she absorbed, and it formed a heavenly host, because that was the site of her death. Yeah. When you escaped, you removed Sachiko from the equation, but the nirvana remained, and it's going berserk once more. So that's it. We just removed Sachiko from the equation. That's all we did. We didn't destroy the actual land of corpses.
なくなってしまえばよかったのに。あんな危険な場所。
Which makes sense, because Sachiko was the only thing containing that. This entire conversation was a roller coaster of emotions for me. At this point, I was just angry. Angry at everyone involved in this whole ordeal, myself included.
さて、ここで少し突飛な話をするわよ。ついてきてね。
This is a lot of information we just got from like 2 games of questions.
はい。死んだ友達にまた会いたい？
Would you like to see your dead friends again? Oh no. Yeah, so Sachiko is freed from that. I'm assuming it's the case.
涅槃で死んだ霊は成仏できずに囚われ続けるというわ。お友達の魂だってまだあそこにいるかもしれない。
So her friend's spirits are just there. Spirits that die there stay there. They haven't moved on or anything. They're just there suffering. Mayu, Seiko.
実はね、黒の本ブック・オブ・シャドウズにはいろんな魔術が書かれているの。
There are actually a number of useful magics listed in the Book of Shadows. Listen to her.
ヨシエの使った涅槃を生み出す術の他にも反言の術というものもある。
Nakashima. And I knew about that one all too well.
命を無理やり戻すなんて敬虔な宗教家に言わせれば神のおぼし飯に背く背徳の行為だと言われそうだけれどね。
は？
Kishinuma seemed a bit more confused than he probably should have been, though I suspect the look on my face may have had something to do with that. I'd performed that spell, the very one Aiko was describing. It took hours, failed miserably, and killed my sister. All at once, the guilt returned. I lowered my head solemnly. Aiko grinned at me, and I had this sneaky suspicion it was because she somehow knew what I was thinking. Though I couldn't be sure, and I certainly didn't know how she would.
けれどそんなものはクソくらいよね。冒涜も破壊も何でも来いよ。
This girl.
死んだ友達を生き返らせたいんでしょ。
So she wants the book. That blonde girl wants the book. Who else wants the book? Everybody.
だったらあの本を探し出し天神小学校でもう一度あの術を行えば成功する可能性は飛躍的に上がるんじゃないかしら。
She's trying to convince her to cast the resurrection spell.
おいあんた、何無責任なこと言ってやがんだ。またやばいことになったらどうすん。
I didn't exactly mean to interrupt Kishinuma, but quite honestly, I didn't even realize he was talking. I was too focused on what Aiko had just said.
あなたは知っているんですね。私と中島さんのヨシエの家での失敗を。
Aiko tilted her head at me, the same wry smile creeping across her face. She'd gone from cold and emotionless to knowing and expressive in a mere instant.
あの時のことは夢幻だったと思っています。ありえないものを見てありえない体験をして私はおかしくなっていたって。してはいけないこと、あんなこともう忘れたいの。でも現実だった。
Aiko pointed at the scar on my neck, then went one step further and lightly brushed it with her hand. I could feel that touch deep within my soul. I suddenly found myself swallowing my next breath, practically choking on thin air.
いい？人が本来触れることすらできない世の常識の裏側にあなたは手を突っ込んだのよ。今さら逃げられると思う？
What's our goal? Hey, Nico. Welcome back. What's our goal here?
私にそんなことが。
When had I started crying? I raised my head again, intent upon looking deep into Aiko's eyes as she answered my question, but she looked so blurry through my tears. I could tell, though, that she was smiling at me. It was the same expression, her new standard.
そんなことで、何
So she knows they tried to do the ritual and failed. Like, and what's with the picture that she showed of Sayaka, you know? What's the connection there?
うんうん。何あなたの口からちゃんと聞きたいな。どうしたいの
Come on, Ayumi. Play Granny.
よく言えました。
I mean that horror game where you're running from the old lady? Aiko patted my head, as one might a dog's after successfully performing a trick.
黒の本が生み出すのは魔女の英知が起こす奇跡よ。それは運命をもねじ曲げる力。
What the grimoire produces are miracles. So that's how she sees it.
たとえそれが確定した運命であろうともね。あなたは強力な霊能者の家系、篠崎家の末裔。日野江さんがいない今、これはあなたにしかできないことかもしれない。
My confidence was being bolstered by the minute, though in retrospect, that was likely Aiko's aim. Nonetheless, if there were still something I could do for my friends,
だけど肝心のブックオブシャドウズがどこに行ったのかもわからないし、それに幸子を失った天神賞には幸せの幸子さんのおまじないではもういけない。そうだと思います。あの学校で菅野由紀ちゃんという女の子に聞きました。
it's probably the stones. The stones, that's how we get there. That's why she brought those stones. Yep. Aiko once again placed the stones from the box in either hand, this time fitting them together, though not quite the way they were supposed to interlock.
そこでこれよ。それは一体。ものすごい霊力を持ってる。さすが篠崎の霊具ね。声が教えてくれたわ。これは幸せの石。
Ever after stones.
幸せの石。
I leaned forward, despite myself. The name sent a shiver down my spine, but now that I had heard it, I had to know more.
この石は2つで1つなの。これをパズルのようにくっつけて、涅槃よ、死人を迎えよと唱えれば、触れている者みんながいつでも天神小学校へ飛べるわ。
We both flinched at her chant, but Aiko just smiled. She must have intentionally oriented the stones the wrong way so the charm wouldn't activate. Oh, she's reckless, this girl.
戻る時も。
Okay. It's the same when you return. So you can use those to go to and from the land of corpses.
不思議でしょ。この子が教えてくれたのよ、この方法。
This girl taught me the technique herself. Which girl is she talking about? The one in the black dress, maybe? Echo gazed longingly at the stones. She was clearly utterly enamored by them. It seemed as if they were key factors to unleashing her newfound emotional expressiveness. But my focus was elsewhere. Without a doubt, it seems Aiko now held in her left hand. It seemed the items Aiko now held in her left hand extraordinarily dangerous. Possibly the most dangerous, horrific objects in the entire world. Those two little stones. However, while Aiko was ogling them with her left hand, her right hand was feeling around for something in her breast pocket. She slowly removed it, producing an old black and white photograph. When has she taken that? It was the same photograph I've seen at Makina Shinozaki's house the previous night. It depicted a young Yoshie alongside her mother and Makina. Oh, so this is Yoshie, the little baby. That's not Sachiko, that's Yoshie with her mother and Makina.
10代だった篠崎義恵は叔母の牧野のことを慕ってよく家に遊びに行っていたそうよ。世界的に有名な霊能師の家系である篠崎家、ここならと。ヤゴーラ教会の生き残り、ヤゴーラの沖縄が危険だからとマルトゥバから盗み出してきたブック・オブ・シャドウズを預けに来たんだけれど、それが揃うと危ないからと石はマキナが、本はヨシエが預かって保管することに決めたそうよ。
So, he gave the book to Yoshie and gave the stones to Makina. I'd never heard of this society in any of these terms before. And there was that damned Book of Shadows again. Why did that have to keep coming up?
あなたたちはあの学校から篠崎幸子を取り除いた。それによって大きな可能性が広がったわ。これまでのような一方通行ではなく、現世に戻ってくることができる。この世のものではない異空間心霊スポットが生まれているの。
She thrust the ever after stones towards me triumphantly and continued to make her pitch, growing more excited by the second. I was legitimately speechless. What could I say?
わかるかしら。まさにあの場所は宝の山よ。これまで眉唾、嘘800と笑われていた霊魂の世界への扉が開いたの。世界中のオカルト研究が一気に加速するわ。私はね、商売としてあの空間へ人を連れて行くツアーコンダクターをやろうと思うの。
You've got to be kidding me. Kishinuma and I both reacted to this preposterous suggestion with a start. She couldn't possibly be serious, could she?
ナホちゃんのブログからは片白のデータは削除したし、あの手段ではもう飛べない。行く方法は私しか持っていない。
So she deleted the false information from Naho's blog so no one can go there by accident anymore. To Heavenly Host. The only way is through those stones. She wants to monetize those stones, giving tours to people and stuff. Like, what is wrong with this lady? What could she possibly be thinking? I wanted to stop her at once. I wanted to make those stones. I wanted to take those stones and break them right here on the spot before anyone else got hurt. But
私はね、ツアーを運営するにあたって安全を確保したいの。あゆみちゃんはお友達の霊を探したいでしょ？だったらあの空間の再調査は共通の目的にならないかしら。
yeah, like a horror tour. Are you a fan of Granny, Nikos? Maiko leaned in as she spoke, her breath scented with sugary sweetness of extravagant desserts.
ね、あゆみちゃん。私と一緒にもう一度天神小学校に行ってくれない？本来は片白を引きちぎる方法でツアーをやろうと思っていたんだけど、こんな便利なアイテムが見つかっちゃったんだもの。これはもう運命よ。私やるわ。商売にする。
Aiko seemed like she was on top of the world. But that just made me all the more disgusted with her. So two things from this, two good things. People can no longer go there by doing the ritual. That's a good thing. So she erased that bad information from Naho's blog. But by removing Sachiko from the equation, people are now able to travel to and from Heavenly Host. It's not just a one-way trip. That's what she's saying. And she wants to use that to her advantage. On the other hand, she was offering me a chance to save our friends. And however remote the chance may have been, it stacked the odds frustratingly in her favor. I still couldn't just say yes, but I also couldn't say no. Honestly, I resented Aiko for putting me in this position. I glared at her for a moment before I said anything.
すぐに答えを出せるわけがないでしょ。考えさせてください。
He's surprised she's even thinking about it. I'd almost forgot Kishinuma was there. Sudden waves of guilt washed over me. He had an absolute incredulous look on his face. I couldn't bear to see it, so I looked away.
ブックオブシャドウズだってどこにあるかわからないし、そもそもその石だって本当にそんな力があるかもわからないじゃないですか。実際に試したわけじゃないのでしょ。
Aiko smiled. She orientated the two stones so that they formed a perfect yin-yang symbol and slotted them together once again. Immediately, the stones began glowing with a bluish-white hue, and a stream of energy started to form around her.
マジかよ。
Aiko continued smiling and looked directly into my eyes.
いいわ、ゆっくり考えて。この石はもちろんまだ試していないからどれだけ危険かわからないしね。
She slowly separated the two stones as she said this, and the energy surrounding her dissipated. All of this in a restaurant. Yeah, right. Imagine the average people in the background. Just watching this.
篠崎家の血筋、篠崎真希菜の家で発見されたんだもの。きっと信憑性も霊言も新たかな霊具に違いないわ。
すげえな。ちょっと見せてくれよ。
Kishinuma didn't wait for an answer. He grabbed the stones from Aiko's hand and began examining them carefully.
あの箱の中にこんなものが入ってたとはな。あんたさ、まさかこの石を独り占めしようなんて考えてねえよな。
Aiko seemed taken aback by the question. Way to go, Kishinuma. You managed to catch her off guard.
これを見つけられたのは半分は篠崎が体張ったおかげなんだろ。
Aiko seemed to ponder these words for a moment.
じゃあ、お互い勝手に行けないように一つずつ持っていましょうか。
わかりました。ちょうだい、岸沼くん。
ああ。
Kishinuma plopped one of the stones in my hand, then slipped the other back into the drawstring pouch Aiko had brought, and closed it up.
うん。
He then casually handed the pouch back to her.
その気になったら連絡をちょうだい。そうね。サービスとしてブックオブシャドウズの捜索は私も手伝ってあげるわ。無料でね。
Aiko flashed us with the biggest, most gregarious smile I think I'd ever seen.
あの本さえ見つかれば一緒に行ってくれるのよね、あゆみちゃん。
I closed my eyes and gave something of a half-hearted, half nod, lowering my head without raising it again. It was interpreted as a yes, but I'm not sure I meant it that way.
ぐっと。じゃあ、ここは私が出しておくわね。
Aiko got up and grabbed the check.
いいえ、私も出します。
She doesn't want to owe her anything. I took out my wallet. Yeah, I had no desire to owe this person anything. Aiko just smiled.
それじゃ割り勘ってことで。そうそう。これは私からのプレゼント。嫌だわ。そんなに構えないで。これは無料で差し上げるわ。だから安心して。
She definitely has her own motives. Like, she's doing this for her own reasons, not to help anyone. That's for sure.
最低だよ、あの人。
ああ。
鈴本さんや篠原さん、森重くん、ゆい先生、みんなのことが終わったらこの石はすぐに壊すから。
ああ、その意見には俺も同感だ。両方ともぶっ壊す案だがな。
No way. He took it with him.
岸沼
あの学校のヤバさも知らねえで浮かれてやがったからな。こっそりいただいてきたぜ。
岸沼くん、すごい。悪い人。
緊急事態によりやむなしだ。
That was pretty sly.
けど
of
よ
him.
篠崎、こう言っちゃなんだが、生き返らせるとか鈴本たちのことはもう考えない方がいいんじゃねえか。無茶ばっかしてお前がまた死ぬ思いするとかよ。鈴本も結衣先生も篠原も森重もみんなよ、そんなこと望んでねえと思うんだ。
でもそうじゃないかもしれない。
いい加減にしろ篠崎。サトシや中島がどんだけお前のこと心配してると思ってんだ。
So he's suggesting that they just let it go and move on and try to move on.
ごめんなさい。でもお願い岸沼くん、もう少しだけでいいから私の気の済むまでやらせてお願い。
くよ、いいか、一人じゃダメだぞ。こっちは俺が預かっとくからな。大丈夫だ。
I turned my gaze up to meet Kishinuma's. My eyes must have seen like saucers, windows into a mind full of worries, ideas and fear spurred by this unexpected turn of events.
なんかあったらすぐ連絡しろよ。前みたいに目つぶって突っ走って勝手に死にそうになってんじゃねえぞ。俺だってお前一人くらい守れる自信はあんだからよ。
I felt warm and safe, but also a little annoyed. All I could say in response was, I could feel my eyes bulging from my head. What would you guys... You think she should just stop, you know, or try and save them?
あんじゃそろそろ帰るとするか。
Like, I get how she feels, you know? But man, it's getting crazy. Oh, we can finally move again. One last time. She should date homie and live her life. He's late. Seriously, what's he thinking? That boy needs a boot to the head, I swear. Yeah. I remember running up these stairs with Mayu Suzumoto. At the time, it never dawned on me that the legitimacy of those memories could ever be called into question. Why would it? When you graduate, transfer, or get married, you're always able to still see one another as long as you're both alive. But in this reality, it's as if Suzumoto never even existed. Oh no, look at this stamina. Where are all the people? The streets seem unusually quiet. Is it just because it's late? Yeah, I want to walk around a little bit. Get a look at the city. It's nice. I like how the Japanese homes look, you know? All right, I think we're good.
Tadaima.
Ayumi's mother. She's watching grass.
今日の変死速報です。死亡した岡部さんは背骨が折れた状態で都内のこの場所で発見され、
That did not look like the news. A Tokyo map was displayed on the television screen, marked with 2 red dots. Sudden violent deaths remain unexplained. It's the curse. Just like the girl in the beginning was suddenly killed violently. It says that guy's spine was broken, just like the first girl. Without thinking, I left the socks I had just removed from my feet on the living room floor and began walking towards the bathroom. This was a bad habit of mine, so ingrained within me that it had almost become a ritual. Mom did well to have caught it so quickly. I grabbed my socks and left the room.
魂がいる天神症でブックオブシャドウズを使えば今度こそ生き返らせることができるかもしれない。
I set my bag down in my room, quickly and automatically grabbed my sweatpants and spats, and made a beeline for the bathroom. When I got there, I threw my socks into the hamper with purpose. I began peeling off my school uniform. As I observed in the mirror, I began to murmur.
障害反動。もしあれがまた起こったら。
Those burn marks on my neck and arm were eternal reminders of what I had been through at the Shinozaki estate. I could clearly remember the agony I went through as they formed. I remember watching them scar my flesh out of thin air, blood spurting from them as if I'd been knifed. I only survived because Hinoe sacrificed herself in my place.
やるしかないじゃない。
Oh no. Oh boy. I tried to force a self-confidence into my expression. When it wouldn't come, I slapped my cheeks hard. Okay. It was in me somewhere. I just needed to be yanked out. You needed it to be yanked out in the open. So she's decided to find the Book of Shadows.
あなたが頑張るのよ。
I lowered my head into the water ever so slightly, blowing bubbles in the water with my mouth. The pros and cons of returning to Heavenly Host were racing through my mind.
奇跡の力。確定した運命に挑む力。篠崎の末裔。私がやらなきゃいけない。みんなを生き返らせてみせるわ。 ブックオブシャドウズのありかさえ分かればすぐにでも。
ブックオブシャドウズのありかだ。相変わらずずれた感性してやがんな。
There's no way this guy went into her bathroom like that. That's crazy. This was just about the last thing I expected. I couldn't help but scream. It was the same boy who'd found his way into my room last time. Wearing the exact same clothes, he spoke to me without once turning his head to look in my direction. So he's looking away as he's talking.
涅槃を知ったか。やっと悟ったようだな。てめえの宿命ってやつを。
He smiled while facing away from me. I was confident. It was confident yet sinister.
あなたなんでここに？
At least he's making sure he's not looking. All right, he's looking away.
音響のまじないなんて基本中の基本だろうが。いちいち驚くんじゃねえよ。それよりもだ。忘れんなよそれ。運命に課せられたてめえの責務だからな。その末裔ってとこ。
あなた！
あ？
警察呼ぶから！この変態！ストーカー扱う！
My face had to be as red as fire at this point.
うるせえよこの父なし女が。誰が痴漢だ。幼児みたいな体しやがって。てめえみたいな貧相な体見ても何も面白くねえんだよ。
Oh my god. Boy. My head felt like it was now housed all the blood of my entire body. I imagined myself white as a sheet below the neck and flashing red above it on the verge of a megaton explosion.
いいか、よく聞け。ブック・オブ・シャドウズは涅槃の中に戻ってる。てめえが篠崎家で失敗したあの時にな。ほら。
He handed me a autograph from Aiko. From Aiko?
いつの間にこれが何だっていうのよ。
よく見ろ、節穴女。ここだ、ここ。
I grabbed the photograph from his hands as aggressively as I could muster, then backed away slightly, putting as much distance between me and him as humanly possible. He somehow got the photograph from Aiko. It was definitely the same picture of the little girl holding a hatchet that Aiko had shown us earlier. But I now noticed that she was holding something in her other hand, too. No way! Is that the book? It was a hardbound book, around the size of a typical desk dictionary. And though I could barely make it out, there was a certain aura to it that looked an awful lot like a face.
これは
How'd she get the book?
力を使いたいなら、もう一度涅槃。いや、天神小学校と言った方がいいか。すぐにあそこへ飛んでその本を手に入れろ。そうすりゃ。
Yuki has it somehow.
お前の願いも叶うだろう。
He stuck out his hand and pointed directly at my face, then slowly lowered it down towards my abdomen. He was now pointing at my lower body, but as soon as I started to get self-conscious, he flipped his hand over and opened it, exposing his palm. There was another piece of tin-yen gun up there, the same kind as before. I'm not sure why I took it, but I did, without even thinking. As soon as the exchange was made, he immediately turned toward the bathroom window, apparently preparing to make his escape.
あなた何者なの？どうして私に？
And why does he want her to go there so badly? You know? Like, who is this guy? My question seemed to stop him in his tracks.
いろいろ教えてくれるの？
I wasn't about to drop my guard, especially given the obvious advantage this boy had over me. He didn't seem like he'd come to attack me or anything. Rather, it was almost like he was trying to lead me somewhere, to show me the way.
今はまだ話せない。
He turned his head toward me, just enough that I could catch a brief glimpse of his eyes beyond the hood. They were ice blue in color, but gentle and sinister. She said sinister or sincere? I was rubbing my eye. I think she said sincere. Alright. So his eyes are sincere. Yeah, okay. Yeah. He smiled once more as he leaped out of the bathroom window. I was kind of dumbfounded. I had no idea how to process what had just happened. He saw her butt.
どうしたのあゆみ、大丈夫？
Her mom is super late to the party. Mom barged in the bath, brandishing a broom. It was probably the first thing she could find to fend off a potential intruder. Too bad she wasn't just a moment quicker. All I could do was squat on the cold bathroom floor and stare at her with hollow eyes. There was no way to explain any of this to her. Convenience store time. It was late at night, and I still hadn't bothered changing out of my school uniform. I needed food. So I decided to hit up the convenience store on my way back home. I picked up a bottle of olives, a pack of tofu, some mineral water, and other various things to keep me going for a while.
なんだこりゃ。
I could hardly believe it. There was actually an occult section at the damned mini mart with all kinds of stupid stuff, like spirit talisman magnets and anti-demon wards. I grabbed one off the shelf at random and looked at it, the company logo on the backside. PL Promotions Co. For these last 2 months, since we'd gotten back from Heavenly Host, it seemed like there was a real spiritual boom going on all over the world. Whenever there'd be a strange death or something, the public would be all over it. Downright excited about the possibility that it might be supernatural in nature. It was all over TV shows and magazines too, with independent researchers checking out spiritual hotspots and giving fancy new age advice to people, just to boost ratings or sales. And now this exorcism merchandise, next to pre-packaged cupcakes and ready-made dinners.
コンビニでお札が買える時代かよ。ちょっと前までならこんなもの見ても気持ち悪いって笑えたんだろうけど、今じゃそんな風に笑えなくなっちまったな。こんなの本物相手に聞くのかよなんて思うようになると。
The item I was examining happened to be one of the spiritual talisman magnets, seemingly the last one in stock. No way, this old lady wants it. An old lady suddenly reached around me from behind and yanked it right from my hands.
どう？
Alright, take it. Jeez. He glowered at me for a moment before taking her prize over to the register. We just got robbed by an old lady, basically. She jacked us. I just stood there, staring blankly at her as she walked away.
なんだよ。
ありがとうございました。
You better hold on to that stone tight. Right? Granny's trying to fight. What's this? It's a withered bouquet of flowers. Oh yeah, I heard there was a serial killer who recently done in a middle school girl around here. These were probably left in memory of her or something. That's pretty messed up.
岸沼くん。
篠崎、何してんだこんな時間に。家に帰ったんじゃねえのかよ。
うん、ごめんね、こんな遅くに。アルバイト？
ああ、今日は遅番だったからな。で、まさかずっと待ってたのか？なんか悪かったな。
うん、平気。
It was actually a really chilly night. I could see Shinozaki's breath dissipating around her.
平気じゃねえだろ。震えてんじゃねえか。嫌じゃなければ寄ってけよ。茶くらい出してやる。
うん。
My room was on the second floor of the apartment building. I hadn't been expecting guests, but I had just tidied up for my own sake a little while back, so it was fairly presentable. It's a nice little apartment he has. Shinozaki immediately sat down on my bed and began sipping the tea I made for her. She was holding it with both hands, probably less for politeness and more just for the more to warm up.
おいしい。
だろ、妹がいつも送ってくんだよ。いい茶話。
The sound of a large truck driving by seemed to catch her off guard. She was clearly a bit jittery. Unsurprising, all things considered.
こんな時間まで工事してるんだ。
ああ、年末近くになるとこういう意味のない工事増えるな。うるさいわ眩しいわで寝れやしねえよ。
大変。
It's like me, there's construction right across the street. It just keeps me up. It makes me tired. It's so loud. Time passed us by at a snail's pace. Shinozaki continued to sip her tea, never once removing either hand from the warm cup. Yeah, he lives by himself, and he works part-time at that convenience store. Where does he work? Convenience store, I believe. Yeah. He mentioned it in the first game when I introduced them. She definitely had something on her mind. Something had happened. It was written all over her face. Yeah, he had like I guess there's tension within his family, so he lives alone.
親に断ってきてんのか？
ううん。あ、連絡は大丈夫。
そうか。
うん。
Shinozaki was in my room. I dreamed about this before, but I never thought it would actually happen.
夏か。なんだな。いや、どうしたんだよこんな遅くに。なんかあったのか？
うん。あのね。
はあ？今から展示場に行くだ
Oh man. I was half acting, as admittedly, this wasn't entirely unexpected. Shinozaki may be a lot of things, but unpredictable is not among them.
お願い。
で、この石を取りに来たのか。
I took out the stone I'd stolen from Aiko.
いいか、篠崎。確かにこの石はさっき光ってたし、何か力はあるかもしれねえ。だがよ、もう一度あそこに行ったところで何をどうできるんだ。また出られなくなって下手したら今度こそ死んじまう。そうなりゃここでのお前の存在まで消えちまうかもしれねえんだぞ。
I tried to be as strong and commanding as I could possibly muster. I needed her to realize what a bad idea this was.
私の存在なんていい。それよりみんなを救いたいの。
救う？
黒の本、ブックオブシャドウズのありかが分かったの。
さっき言ってたあの本のことか。
見て。
She had that picture from Aiko with her and was pointing to the little girl's left arm.
私たち実はもうさっき見えていたのよ。この女の子の左手のところ、それがブックオブシャドウズよ。
I didn't have to look very hard to see it, but
本か、確かに持ってるな。それでこれがブックオブシャドウズだっていう確証はあんのかよ。
ないけど、でも多分間違いないと思う。
多分ってお前。
天神賞へはね、この本を取り戻しに行くの。そしたらみんなの魂を涅槃から解き放てる。鈴本さんたちを今度こそ生き返らせることができるわ。
how could I argue with that? There were so many assumptions being made, but she was so sure of herself, so certain that this would work. She wasn't about to listen to reason. Shinozaki shook her head furiously, like some sort of violent shudder. It almost seemed like she was trying to shake something loose from her mind. She's having like flashes, like PTSD.
つか、そもそもこんな石で本当に展示所に行けるのか？
This is really affecting her mentally.
庭愛子だっけか？どう見てもうさんくさかったぜ。
それは試してみなきゃだけれど、でももしまた天神賞に行けたらみんなの魂がそこにあるんだから、今度こそ反抗の術が成功すると思うの。
篠崎。
She still had deep scars along her arms, legs, and neck. Anyone could tell at a glance that she just recovered from a serious accident. She sounded so self-assured, so self-confident, but it was hard to take any of that seriously. This was the first time in my life I'd found myself tearing up over someone and not being embarrassed that I was crying. Honestly, it surprised me. It surprised me how deeply I cared about Shinozaki and how much I didn't want to lose her. My eyes were getting hot and glazed, and I felt utterly helpless.
こんなこと誰にも話せないけど、あなたは信じてくれる？ 岸沼くん。
He's in a hard place right now. Like, he doesn't want to go back there, but he doesn't want her going there by herself. I was at a complete loss for words. I found myself literally scratching my head, trying to come up with a good answer. This was Shinozaki, and she had come to me for moral support, for encouragement, for peace of mind. It was really the first time she'd ever truly relied on me, ever truly counted on me. I knew then what I had to do.
もうよ、あのクソ学校であんな目にあって帰ってきたんだ。今さら何があっても驚きゃしねえよ。お前が言うんならきっとそうなんだろう。理解はできないけどな。できないままに俺は決めたことがある。
決めたこと？
ああ。何があってもお前を守るってよ。
Shinozaki and I stared into each other's eyes for a moment, each of us trying to figure the other out.
心配すんな。大丈夫だ。
I tried to force a smile. Shinozaki had basically curled up into a ball at this point. Her tiny body collapsed in on itself for support. But now all of a sudden, she unfurled herself and glared at me. I couldn't tell if she was mad or happy or what. Her eyes were either like daggers or saucers. I couldn't make out which. Maybe she'd come here expecting me to actively shoot down her ideas or something. Maybe she thought she'd be alone in this. Maybe she'd figured out what I was up to. Or maybe she'd been expecting me to say exactly what I said to her. And maybe it annoyed her. Either way, tears began to explode from her eyes so quickly that red bags were forming under them almost instantly. She then turned her back to me, all with one seemingly unconscious spin of her body.
どうした篠崎？
What's the matter with her?
ね、昼間私の頭ポンポンってしたでしょ。
Yeah. She seemed like she was trying her hardest not to let herself cry, though it wasn't exactly working.
んなことしたか？
した。あれだけど。
She paused, waiting for me to answer, but I had no idea what to say, and absolutely didn't want to say the wrong thing. So I just stood there like a dolt.
やっぱり覚えてないなら。
Is she embarrassed? Like, is she? Finally, she turned back to face me, her tears mostly dry. Still a little self-conscious about crying, she kept her eyes closed, a telltale frown belling her confidence. There was obviously something between the lines for me to read here, but hell if I knew what it was.
ああ。お前の持ってる石の片割れ見せてくれよ。
She's hitting with the girl talk signs. He has no idea what's happening. Yeah, she's he's trying to decipher.
うん。
He doesn't know.
はい。
He ain't picking up what she putting down, you know? Shinozaki removed the ever after stone from her pocket and placed it squarely in my hand. I positioned it next to my stone and stared intently at the two. This was the turning point. What did I do? What I did next could decide our fates. I couldn't mess this up. Outside my window, I could still hear the sounds of construction vehicles driving by. It was now or never. In as close as to one solid motion as I could manage, I opened my window and chucked the 2 stones into the road. Oh no. Wow. I timed it perfectly, and my aim couldn't have been better. Another truck was just about to pass by and the stones were immediately in his path. He threw them in the road. The sound I heard next was a satisfying crunch. It was the sound of delicate, glass-like rocks breaking into tiny pieces. He destroyed the stones. Shinozaki rushed over to the window and directly witnessed the fate of the ever after stones. As soon as the truck drove over them, she collapsed to her knees. I couldn't even finish my sentence before Shinozaki's palm slammed my face with incredible force. The loud smack of flesh on flesh echoed throughout the room. The side of my face was immediately in pain. I began rubbing it with my hand as I looked to Shinozaki. Her face was filled with tears, and her nose was running. She was breathing so heavily. Her shoulders were bobbing up and down.
やっぱりあなたはどうしようもない人。
篠崎、聞いてく。
ちょっとでも信じて私がバカだった。
She was absolutely hysterical with rage.
行かせるかよ、あんなところに。
It was my turn to fire back now. I was certain I'd done the right thing.
本があるったって具体的にどこだ。行って何をするんだよ。何のプランもなしに行ってまた死ぬ思いするだけだろ。
嫌い。何よバカ。アホ。うよ。
Leaving me with those hurtful words, Shinozaki then pushed past me and ran out of my room, crying like a child the whole way. So he broke the stones. What's this?
無事だったんだ。トラックに踏まれたのに。
Oh wow, so they're okay. I kinda...
当然だろう。ただの石じゃねえんだ。
あなたは。
I kinda feel he did the right thing.
よく手段を手に入れたな。論から手段、次に実践だ。進め。貪欲に貪るように邁進しろ。お前はもう飛べる。パンピーどもを超越する世の断りに手を突っ込むことのできる人間だ。
教えてよ。味方なの？
He's a boy.
篠崎。
篠間くん。
比べてこいつはクズだ。
Mysterious man. I'm miles away of this trash.
はあ？なんだよお前。
It's that guy I passed in front of Shinozaki's place.
壊れなかったのかそれ。篠崎、渡すんだ。
いや。
ダメだ、行くんじゃねえ。何度死にそうになれば気が済むんだよ。渡せ。
Whoa. Jeez.
野生だ。
This guy, man.
歩み。
It's like a sand, right? Look at the dent in that wall I made. That's insane.
味方かと聞いたな。その通り。守るものだ。俺はお前の姉、日の絵の世話になった一番弟子、矢後浦教会のキリア・ミストだ。
He's saying he was her sister's protege.
お姉ちゃんの。
いい子だ。会場のワードは覚えているな。さてと、それじゃあ実践といこうか。その石貸してみな。俺にしっかり捕まってろよ。あとほら、お守りだ。なくすなよ。
What is this? Mitsuo's charm. The Argus cube.
くな。
ごめん。もう心配しないで。
篠崎。
お前は正しくパンピーの道を生きてろ。
やめて。涅槃よ。死人を迎えよ。
篠崎。マジかよ。篠崎。篠崎。くそ。なんでだよ。くそー。
Oh man. Jeez. Now he has to find a way back to the school without the stones if he wants to help her.
この匂い、この空気。
It's the same classroom.
天神書だわ。あれ、ミストさん、どこ？あ、幸せの石。
That I'm not sure of. But I don't think we've seen the last of Sachiko. She doesn't even have the stones with her. See, now she has no way to get back. And she's separated from him.
どうしよう。あれはミストさんが。そんな、あの石がないと、あの石がないと帰れないわ。ミストさん。私またこの学校に一人ぼっち。そんな。そんなことないよ。きっとどこかで合流できるわ。前だってそうだったもの。
Oh. Sachiko's spirit may still be here. If you think about it, like, they appeased her, but why would it be released from this place? No other spirit has been released from this place. You know? It's no longer attached to it, yeah, but I don't know if it's gone.
ザクロだ。お前ザクロ。
いらっしゃいませ。
It's showing us from Ayumi's perspective how she hears all these spirits and these voices. Here we go. It's cool to see the school like this. It wasn't this dark last time. Yep, we're back. There wasn't a clock like this last time I was here either. I guess things really are different now. I hope Mitsuo hasn't gone too far. I don't even know what his phone number is. Actually, I should leave a message for him. Mitsuo, it's Ayumi. Please call me at... Good enough, I think. Now let's see if I can find him anywhere. We'll save over this one. There's a murky yellow liquid inside the bucket. Ugh. This is really disgusting. Not that anything in here isn't, though. We got some batteries. There's something on the floor here. Bandages. Oh no. Heavenly Host is falling apart more than before. As a result, there are numerous hazards to watch out for. From broken glass to splinters, stepping on one will lower your HP. Depending on the hazard, it may harm only the current selected player character or the entire party. HP can be recovered through bandages. A dead body? This is definitely Heavenly Host. This person, I have no idea who he is, but somehow I feel like I've met him before. Toshi Goto. Decapitation by wire while searching for his friend. So we gotta be careful where we walk, because we can take damage. That's our health bar. Got bandages, batteries. What is that?
ミストさん。
雨の降る放課後でした。
やっぱり人だ。
I don't think I can cross that. I probably missed something. I can see, but it is a little dark in here. Yeah, see, I missed this. Let's use the board. Yeah. Don't step on the cracks, right? So, should be able to cross now. There's a light over there. Yeah, I like this. Got a little inventory system. Whoa. Mayu.
笹本さん
Oh no. Mayu?
私だよあゆみあなたを迎えに来たの
Her back's turned. That face got you. Oh. Yeah, that face right there got me. Okay. Oh, hell no. No way. Whoa. Okay. Her stamina. Okay, get out of here. Oh my god. I'm stuck. She's stun locking me. She got me in the corner. Ooh. Lewd. Well, we got the bad ending for this chapter. Alright. Let's try that again. She actually stun locked me. Plus I ran out of stamina. This is pretty cool. I like it. Yeah. It's creepy though. Yeah. That sound she's making.
あなたを迎えに来たの
That loud screech. Ooh. That's horrible. Alright, let's go. Yeah, we can do it. I can probably lose her if I hide in here. We gotta hide. Oh, there's a hiding mechanic. Oh no. You can hide in lockers to avoid harmful entities. However, if you're spotted by the entity while trying to hide, they can very easily pull you out. Damn. When an entity is near your hiding place, a red circle will be displayed to indicate danger. She's right there. Press the confirm button to exit your hiding place, but beware, if there are any entities in sight, you'll be immediately chased by them. And make sure you time your exit well. At least I was able to get away. I have to hurry and find Mitsuo though. Damn. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wasn't expecting her to be right there. There's another one. Who's this? Yuki. Oh god. My chin smashed against the floor, and the wind was completely knocked out of me. My entire field of vision turned white, as if I'd been drenched in some unholy something. I just pictured Yuki with the smug look on her face, anime look, looking down at her. What? Then everything went black. Various indistinct forms blurred together in front of my eyes. All of a sudden, it felt as if not my body but my mind had been shattered into pieces. What just happened? No way. EVP entries. Yoshie Shinozaki unlocked. No encyclopedia. We've returned. Who is that guy? That's not the same dude, right? He had like a Jason mask on or something. That's Yuki's version of that guy, I guess. That was a long chapter. Let's see. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. Good start. So we got hiding mechanics, we got RPG elements, sort of. Would you like to save? Yeah. Only the first chapter. You know, it makes sense that it was longer since this is the final game of their story before the sequel, which is, I guess, different people entirely. So it makes sense that they try and draw it out. So tomorrow I'll do chapter 2. Nice, that was good. Usually we unlocked these voice messages at the end of the chapter in the last game. I guess not. What's chapter 2 called? Let me see. It's called... Okay. Alright. I'm gonna end it here now, guys. I appreciate it, everybody watching. This was fun. I had fun playing this with you guys. I'll see you next time, okay? You take care.